Later in your career, you became very much associated with the subject of Israel. And first of all, how did that come about? I mean, here you were a criminal defense attorney, civil libertarian. How did you get involved in Israel as a political issue?
When Israel began to be falsely accused of being a massive human rights violator, when it became the underdog in academia, when it needed to be defended, that's when I decided to write my book, The Case for Israel. I didn't want to write that book. I wanted to write the case for peace. I've always been a peacenik. I've been in favor of the two-state solution since 1967. I was against Israelis' civilian settlement policy since 1973. I was always kind of on the left center of the pro-Israel community. But when Israel started to be attacked unfairly, it was consistent with my whole philosophy of life to get in there and become a defense attorney, essentially, for a defendant, the state of Israel, that was being unfairly accused. Now, yeah, go ahead.
What's that been like for you?
It's been very difficult. If you now ask college students whether I'm a liberal or conservative, you know, I'm still very much opposed to the death penalty, favor gay rights, favor gay marriage, favor a woman's right to choose abortion. I'm on the liberal side of every political issue. But college students think I'm a right-wing, rabid, neocon conservative because I support Israel. Israel has become the defining way of figuring out if a person fits on the liberal and conservative wing. And that's why all these blurbs in the back are all negative. I don't read Dershowitz, Jimmy Carter. Dershowitz is not very bright, Chomsky. Dershowitz is like Adolf Eichmann, Norman Finkelstein. It's all about Israel. He's deranged, Glenn Greenwald. He's a war criminal, Professor Francis Boyle. These are all people who hate me because of my moderate centrist views on Israel. And it's cost me. It's cost me academically. It's cost me in terms of the way in which I'm perceived in the academic community. And let me tell you, it's been a price worth paying. And I will continue to support and defend Israel, no matter what the cost. And I want to make sure that my students see that it's worth it in the end, that it's a cost worth paying. Although students come to me all the time and say, if we're perceived on our campus as pro-Israel, as too Zionist, we're really out, we're not in, we're not cool, we're not going to be invited to the secret societies, we're not going to be tapped for skull and bones. Today, there's no anti-Semitism today on college campuses to speak of, but if you're a Jewish or even a Christian, a strong supporter of Israel, there's a kind of bias that is subtly felt. And if you're a faculty member too, that's why I end my book with a letter to the editor to be published the day after my obituary appears, correcting the obituary, because I always have to have the last word. And I'm sure the obituary will define me as a zealot defender of Israel and as a right-winger, and I just want to make sure I set the record straight.